A very good evening and a warm welcome to our second edition of UBC News Tonight on this third day of October 2024. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. Now, before we get into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at the top stories tonight. In our top stories tonight, Museveni takes economic transformation drive to Mityana, warns against hypocritical opposition leaders. Final census report 2024 declares population rise by 11.3 million over 10 years. Government set to grow GDP from $50 billion to $500 billion. And in sports, Uganda is set to travel this Friday to Dar es Salaam for the Under-20 CECAFA zonal qualifiers. Good evening once again. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has addressed the residents of Mityana district, urging them to reject politicians and leaders who incite them against government development projects. He emphasized that these projects are funded by local revenue, money that belongs to the people themselves. During his visit to Mityana, President Museveni handed over a multi-million shillings of fully furnished residence to Sister Anna Maria Nakampi, who generously contributed to the success of the NRA's 5-year guerrilla war.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was in Mityana district the first day for a socio-economic transformation tour. At this public event held at St. Paul's Parish Grounds, the president was received by members of parliament and ministers led by Judith Nabakova, the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development.
Abantu ebikumi ebitaano abateekeddwa olwaleero babenga bafuna ssente nga naawe oli wano mu ssaza lyaffe.
Nabakova also expressed gratitude to the President and the Minister of Education, Mama Jent Kataha Museveni, for their continued support to the communities of Mityana.
Excellency nga mpita mu ggwe nyongera okwebaza wamu ne maama. Ministry y'ebyenjigiriza maama gy'atwala yatusasulidde essomero.
She reported concerns regarding negative politicking surrounding the government's registration of coffee farmers.
Waliwo abantu kamba kulopere bannakigwanyizi abatandise okusiika gavumenti enziro nga bagamba ti gavumenti eyagala okuwera emmwanyi ekirime ekirimibwa mu Buganda mbutwagala kutwala mmwanyi.
Other attendees included the NRM First National Vice Chairperson Alhaji Moses Chigongo, the NRM Vice Chairperson for Buganda Godfrey Chwanda Subi, and Ministers Sam Mayanja, as Kaboy of Red Triangle, and Joyce Nabosa Sebukwawo.
Ziwawereza ezenguudo buli district yafuna akawumbi ka ssente. Esente zino zituyambyeko okwongera okulongoosa enguudo zaffe.
In his address, Museveni preached the gospel of transformation.
Kubeera kumpi ne chorus naye eddako 95 nabayigiriza ekigambo okulembeka.
On a lighter note, he guided the Mityana residents, stating that while the government has endeavored to construct roads, schools and health centers, this do not directly translate into individual household wealth.
Naye obugaga n'obwavu bibyo ng'omuntu mu nyumba yo.
Museveni criticized the leaders from the opposition parties for misleading voters.
Ate bo tebazira misaala oba babagamba nti muzire enteeka za gavumenti ezigoba obwavu. Ku lwaki bo tebazira misaala gya parliament.
He reminded the voters that rejecting government projects makes little sense since the primary funding source comes from taxes paid by citizens.
So mbasaba temuddamu kulimbibwa tuwabawo abaguumaaza era ako kabonero k'obulabe eddala esente zezikuleetedde kumuluka kugoba obwavu sente zo sizange esente bali abalabe bammwe ababagamba nti muzire programu za gavumenti sente zammwe.
In the areas where leadership is perceived as incompetent, like Mityana, where opposition members outnumber those from the ruling party, Museveni attributed this to voter choices.
Lwaki abo tembabanja oba kulwaki kati ngeno mwalonda ba opposition ne wali muno kubba baba obululu ekinkimanyi baba.
The president also addressed local concerns about rampant evictions, assuring residents that legal measures have been implemented to address the issue. He also promised additional funding for the land fund projects. In Mityana, the president handed over a brand new car and a fully furnished home to Sister Anna Maria Nakampi, a key contributor to the NRA guerrilla war.
Tata President, webale kujjukira, webale kumanya bewabonaabona nabo. Yanziza nnyo neyanzeege olubiri lwontaddemu.
N'amujjukira mu bantu abangi be twali nabo, n'amukolera kyamukoledde, n'amuzimbira olubiri, amaka. Nze kye nnali susuubira, sebo nkwebaza tuweebale nnyo, weebalire ddala.
Robert Nyango, UBC News.
All right, now Uganda's Vice President Jessica Lupo has hailed South Korea for its climate change mitigation initiatives, recognizing the country's efforts to address Uganda's waste management and global climate crisis. Lupo revealed this at the South Korea National Day and Armed Force Day celebrations held at Sheraton Hotel in Kampala.
As the world struggles to meet the goals outlined in the Paris Agreement, where nations agreed to limit global warming to 15 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, Korea stands tall in supporting climate change mitigation initiatives. Speaking at the Korea National Day and Armed Forces Day celebrations held at Sheraton, Lupo has hailed Korea for aiding Uganda with over 24 billion Uganda shillings to manage waste, whose final product will be energy and manure.
The Republic of Korea has supported our climate change and environment programs, and against this background, they are extending $6.6 million assistance for waste management, whose final products will be energy and manure.
Uganda and Korea have enjoyed warm bilateral relations, with Korea investing in Uganda's ICT, social welfare, health sector, defense, among others.
I would like to recognize the efforts by the Korean Development Corporation to align assistance to our National Development Plan, and in 2016, we signed various memoranda of understanding to strengthen bilateral relations in 10 key areas that include healthcare, ICT, community credit, social welfare, defense, agriculture, policy consultation, etc.
The Korea Ambassador Sung So says Uganda and Korea's ties continue to flourish each passing day. He says his country will continue to cooperate maximally with Uganda, not only in areas of climate change, but also in trade and livelihood opportunities for Ugandans.
This evening, we celebrate over 4,300 years of Korean history on our National Foundation Day. It is a time to honor the origins of our nation and reflect on the incredible journey we have taken. Honorable guests, Uganda holds a special place in my heart, as it was the first country where I served as an ambassador. Over the years, our partnership has flourished in many areas. We have shared, supported each other's growth.
The Korean proactive approach to climate change mitigation continues to inspire many nations, including Uganda.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reassure you and your government of Uganda's readiness and willingness to accelerate our relations in areas of investment, trade, and tourism. Opportunities for trade are available for both sides to exploit, and the vast resources in Uganda, including mineral reserves, agro-processing and value addition, offer important opportunities for the commercial relations between our two countries.
The National Liberation Day of Korea commemorates the day when Korea was liberated from 35 years of Japanese colonial rule by the Allies in 1945. The day coincides with the anniversary of the founding of South Korea in 1945. Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Uganda's population has reached 45,905,417, reflecting an increase of 11.3 million over the past 10 years. While releasing the National Population and Housing Census Final Report 2024, Prime Minister Robina Nabanja urged stakeholders to leverage this data as a competitive advantage for locally produced goods and services. She emphasized the importance of using the data to enhance service delivery.
The National Population and Housing Census 2024 main report is officially.
Uganda Bureau of Statistics, WUBOS, has released the final report from the National Population and Housing Census conducted May 10th to May 26, 2024. The report indicates that Uganda's population has grown by 2.9%, an increase of 11.3 million people over the last decade. Prime Minister Robina Nabanja stated that this is quality data, essential for guiding the country in its development efforts.
This increase in the population could likely be an outcome of the government's priorities in the health subsector over the years, mainly on immunization and rollout of health center 4s, the upgrade of health center 2s to 3s. I implore all stakeholders to receive and interrogate these statistics with a view to improving the planning and service delivery in your respective sectors.
The results indicate a reduction of 200,000 people from the preliminary figures, bringing the total to 45,905,417. Currently, Uganda has 53% females and 47% males. State Minister for Finance and Planning, Amos Lugolobi, highlighted the positive trend of transformation, noting a decrease in the prevalence of subsistence households.
Be happy about the reduced prevalence of subsistence households, which has reduced from 69% in 2014 when we did the last census to now 33%. I think that's, despite these gains, it is also intriguing to note from the results that 4 in 10 households remain food insecure.
While presenting the final report, Chris Mukiza, Executive Director of WUBOS, emphasized that the government faces a significant task in planning for the children who make up 50% of the population and in preparing for their post-education needs. The data reveals that there are 10,698,913 households in Uganda, reflecting a growth of 7.3 million households since 2014. According to the report, 61% of households consist of 4 to 5 members.
Very many young children. They are 50% of the whole population of 45.9. The youth, 18 to 30, they are 23%. And the people above 60, there are very few here. It's 5%, 31 to 59%. Where the majority of you are is 21.5%.
The report also indicates that life expectancy has risen from 63.7% in 2014 to 68.2% in 2024. This improvement is attributed to the reduction in infant and maternal mortality rate, with maternal mortality currently at 223 pregnancy-related deaths per 100,000 live births.
Important to note that in Bunyoro it was 42, 42 children die before they celebrate their first birthday. That is among the 1,000 children who are born alive. While in Ankole it is 43, in Ichigezi it is 33.9.
The statistics show that 25.2 million Ugandans are of working age, 14 to 64 years. Of this demographic, 38% are employed, while 12.6% are unemployed and actively seeking work.
That proportion takes 25%. Subsistence wage earners, they are members who earn by a day.
The results from this first digital national population and housing census will be available for dissemination within a week. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugimwa in Kampala.
Now, the Nile Basin Initiative is seeking $12 million to support the construction of nearly 120 hydrological monitoring stations in the Nile Basin riparian countries, while the optimal requirement is 160 stations. The initiative has only established 43 since its launch in 2015. The Nile Basin Secretariat highlights that limited funding is a significant barrier preventing progress towards achieving this target.
Established in 1999, the Nile Basin Initiative is tasked with ensuring the sustainable utilization of transboundary water resources across the riparian states, which include Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. To better implement its mandate, in 2015, the Nile Basin Initiative Secretariat developed a design aimed at setting up hydrological stations to carry out automatic monitoring of water levels and river flows, thus providing real-time data for proper management of water resources in the basin.
A sensor has been taken through a pipework to the lake, and it is able to transmit information on the level into this. There is an automatic transmission of the level into this, and then we have a telemetric system that sends the message of the water level to the different data centers in the countries.
So the system that we set up for the 43 stations is able to monitor and be able to inform us when there's flooding that is happening, and then we can carry out analysis and inform countries downstream what is likely to happen 1 month, 2 months in advance.
The Nile Basin has an optimal demand for 160 hydrological monitoring stations. In light of the life-threatening effects of climate change, such as floods and droughts, the deteriorating water quality in the Nile Basin against the ever-increasing demand for water resources, there is a pressing need to establish the remaining 117 hydrological monitoring stations.
The current project cost around $5 million. For the rest, it would be another around $12 million. We work very closely with development partners, but the biggest funder of our activity is actually the member states. So, because the resources of development partners come in to support the resources of the member states. So this appeal is to member states to support the work of the NBI by paying their contributions on time, which will then leverage the support from development partners.
It's on record that up to 69% of Uganda's water supply comes in from outside her boundaries. Calls to ensure improvement of water quality in the basin are a must.
Pollution is increasing. So you can see the amount of stress that the Nile River has. The population density of the Nile Basin is one of the highest in Africa. So we have all these challenges which requires a mindset change. It requires a lot of awareness. It requires a lot of engagement. It requires a lot of education, which we think we can do it as one of our main channels through the media.
All this was discussed during the closing ceremony of a media training program for journalists from selected media houses organized by the Nile Basin Secretariat and development partners.
Sana, Annette.
The Nile Basin has 3 interconnected principal streams of Atbara, the Blue Nile and the White Nile, which travel more than 6,800 800 kilometers, approximately 4,000 miles to the north, emptying into Mediterranean Sea along Egypt's coast. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
A family in Burasel, Arua City, is living in fear following an alleged invasion by police and UPDF officers on Tuesday night last week. It is claimed that the uniformed men were attempting to remove suspected mercury and uranium from the family's compound.
Started some 3 weeks ago when a group of electricians went to the residence of this family where Peter Eluti is a member and started to dig a hole where the earthing is planted. The family responded by stopping the electricians from continuing the suspicious activity.
Emuzu afa jodomarua achivile richekizo manengazu amvueria mesuba de ki angudo ovaria akosima triba de era adra era.
According to family members, their late father John Eriaga, a former medical officer, told them about the presence of mercury and uranium that was used for earthing the visibly old house built in 1970s.
My dad used to talk a lot with me, and he mentioned that those days, whenever they would do the earthing, they would put some mercury, uranium, then the copper rod would be fixed. Not like today where they put charcoal and the salt. But those days they would put those things and then they cast the concrete. So me, I was suspecting maybe this, when the record people must have noticed that type of earthing.
At midnight of Tuesday last week, Peter Eluti, a victim of the invasion, narrates how armed men traveling in different unregistered vehicles, including a police patrol pickup, stormed their home.
Angu bulebani to ovada ma gate epidi ba na vino sube ba na da malia ba civilian erore iberi ba su bule do vaba de ki suki woro uniform askar veleri te ba su de mapa afapare adina askar veleri ko adu step veleri ri anga ni ndulugba dide mamundulugba dini bo ba de ekokikiusu erima vanya kuo ba de medo mi bule do ova.
After failing for 2 hours in removing the suspected mercury and uranium, the armed group decided to leave, giving chance to the members of the village to gather.
Pali supi open sida ngadi yo ima tisi kenengone muganda tisi ebintu ebi obi takasa excavator imudikoba basuru around the Jiran road yadi muki divini woro igane imu leti mukunguma sanduku ogwe di mu oguniyo.
Emilia Diru, the family head, said their efforts to open a case has proven futile.
I rushed to the police station on Doparaka. The police lady I found there told me she couldn't register this case because it was above her. She made a call to the Central Police. And then in the consultation, she told me the RPC had called me to go to the office to meet him over this issue.
However, the UPDF 4th Division gave a comment about the situation.
This case, and I contacted the brigade commander of 409, and he was also not aware of that incident, and he had to send his intelligence. It was found out that exactly it happened. So we are trying to find out exactly which force and from which unit this alleged armed personnel came from, more especially on the UPDF side. And we're also contacting the police to inform us if at all there was any operation. So our investigations are still going on. We don't really condone such kind of acts. Our operations are always in the open.
Joseph Onama, UBC News.
Now, UBC News tonight, the Ugandan government is set to roll out vocational skills training in all secondary schools located in refugee hosting districts across the country. This announcement was made by the Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Engineer Hilary Onek, during a working visit to Panyadoli refugee settlement in Chiriandongo district.
Accompanied by the Netherlands ambassador to Uganda, High Excellency Frederick Kispel. The delegation visited Ansano workshops and the Panyadoli Self-Help Secondary and Vocational School, which are part of the ongoing vocational training programs in the area. During the visit, Minister Onek revealed that government had piloted vocational skills training in selected schools in refugee hosting districts with promising results. He emphasized government's commitment to working with development partners to expand the initiative to all schools in these districts, benefiting both national and refugee populations.
And therefore, really, I want to emulate this dream in all schools in the refugee hosting district, so that all of them have vocational training. All.
Onek highlighted that vocational skills development plays a critical role in stabilizing African countries, suggesting that skills acquisition is a viable alternative to violence. He stressed that empowering individuals with practical skills could replace the need for weapons. The Netherlands ambassador, Frederick, reaffirmed her country's support for Uganda's refugee hosting efforts. She mentioned that the minister from the Netherlands would be visiting Uganda in 2 weeks to further discuss support for these programs.
Those who are smart enough to hold guns, and then they earn their livelihood using their guns. But how do they earn it? With their gun, they threaten you, rob you. They rob, and therefore they are catered for because they have robbed from you. And you are now threatened. You are forced into exile.
So I'm already looking forward to what she'll be announcing when she makes this visit. I hope the Honourable Minister will have time to, in his busy schedule, to meet her.
Patrick Okello, the Commissioner for Refugees at the Office of the Prime Minister, noted that Uganda now hosts 1.74 million refugees, with numbers still increasing, especially from Sudan. Okello raised concerns over dwindling international support for refugees and emphasized the need for sustainable interventions.
You note that this kind of population of refugees, considering the desegregation, requires urgent remedial action from your office because they pose unemployment was the issue of funding of humanitarian assistance to Uganda, which has drastically dropped from 459 million US dollars in calendar year 2018 to 148 million US dollars in the current calendar year.
The beneficiaries of the vocational training programs shared success stories. Nansa Pio and Obo Emmanuel, 2 of the trainees, say the skills they acquired have helped them earn a living despite some challenges.
We have few tools that we're using because we have got wide market. As we have been exposed along the road, many people now, they know this place as the most affordable price, and we are welding in a very professional way.
If there is a way for us to be provided with another uniform at vocation, such that we don't ruin the uniform that we have at secondary, that would be very lovely.
Recent statistics show that Uganda hosts over 1.74 million refugees and asylum seekers. Most of these refugees come from South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Burundi, and more recently, Sudan.
Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, together with Hajat Hadija Namyalo, head of the Office of the National Chairman, held a meeting with elderly and people with disabilities at Nachibubo Blue School to discuss the challenges they face, particularly in healthcare, and how they can benefit from government programs. We have more on this report.
Elders and people with disabilities have often expressed frustration, stating they do not benefit from government programs due to poor sensitization by government officials, leaving them in poverty.
Akeddagala kubanga tubeera balwadde kati nganze nkolera ku street abakanso kye batukola bonja bawaabira.
Ffe ebyobulamu si nnungi nnyo etukaluubiriza kubanga economy engeri gye yayingira mu nsi abantu tetuli bulungi.
During the meeting, Minister Hajat Minsa Kabanda acknowledged the poor communication that hinders the effectiveness of these programs, resulting in many elders being left in difficult conditions.
About government programs, PDM, Myoga, education and other things. So we have encouraged them to continue to get government programs.
Kabanda emphasized that the poor health of elders, especially in Kampala, has been key concern. To address this, the minister and Hajat Hadija Namyalo agreed to organize a health camp to provide medical treatment to the elderly.
I'm also going to organize for a medical camp for these people with disability, these people, the elderly, to get free medical examination such that they can continue taking medicine. Otherwise, they are going to get other complicated cases.
To find out what problems these people are facing. The PWDs have been claiming that they have been left out, and of which we are trying to find out, are these people receiving the money that they are meant to receive as per the policy? Are these people benefiting from the government programs?
Hajat Hadija Namyalo, representing the president, also reassured the elders the president's commitment to resolving their issues.
To be implemented for the good of the Kampala people. We are failing in Kampala just because of the policies. If we curtail and manage to maintain the policies to its full satisfaction of implementation, we shall have no opposition in Kampala.
She donated food relief items and promised further to support through the president's initiatives. The meeting is part of Kabanda's ongoing efforts to engage with the community and address their dissatisfaction with government programs. Joseph Muyingo compiled this report.
Now, organizers of the Uhuru Sickle Cell Run in Lira City are appealing for support from various stakeholders to help raise funds for purchasing critical sickle cell confirmation machines. This initiative aims to improve the diagnosis and screening of newborns in a region heavily affected by the disease.
Lango sub-region has the highest prevalence of sickle cell disease in Uganda, with the Leptong district recording a staggering 23%, significantly higher than the national average of 17%. Each year, 25,000 children are born with a sickle cell disease in Uganda. Tragically, 80% of these children do not live to see their 5th birthday, while 20% struggle to access proper health care. Lira Regional Referral Hospital is currently managing over 1,200 sickle cell warriors. Dr. Juliet Adon, the focal point person for sickle cell disease in Lango, emphasized the need for heightened awareness, noting that the disease is more prevalent in the malaria belt.
Let us accept them and give them the due care. This would change. Once we test, we can actually eliminate and bring down the trait. If a carrier is meeting a normal person without the trait, the disease is going to mix and the trait would come down.
We should always advocate to make sure that we reduce on the number of sickle cell.
The Uhuru Sickle Cell Run is part of a larger strategy to raise awareness and secure funding for the purchase of HB electrophoresis machine, which are essential for accurate diagnosis in the region.
In doing confirmatory tests, because currently all the tests which are done from this region is sent to the Central Public Health Laboratory. And once it is sent, that means sometimes it takes some good numbers of weeks or months without the results coming back. So we shall be having people there to talk to us, people who have undergone all these processes, the pain, the survival. Catherine Field is an indigenous organization.
Bonnie Ferdinand Okela Lele, the chairperson of the organizing committee, announced that over 50 million shillings has already been raised ahead of the run.
And as I talk now, preparation is in the high gear. So our appeal to the people of Uganda is that we should come together and be part of this cause. We want to thank the First Lady of the Republic of Uganda and the Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Kata Museveni, has already supported this noble cause with 10 million shillings.
The corporate bodies around, let's join hands, because when you look at the costs that are involved for an individual to get treatment for sickle cell, it's really on the high side.
Uganda is our home. We drive her growth. We can only drive it through giving back to the community.
We are prepared to secure the event.
Police have confirmed that security measures are already in place for the event, which will feature a 4-kilometer walk, 10-kilometer run and 18-kilometer run this Saturday in Lira City. Eddie Olwa, UBC News.
We are going to have, is going to engage all of you, I think from here.
Hundreds of Busia district residents received free medical care during a 2-day medical camp organized by BILP Initiative Uganda, Clark International University, and C-Care Foundation. The charitable arm of C-Care Uganda, formerly International Medical Group. The medical camp was held at St. Paul Church of Uganda recently, and we have the details.
Camp that we have partnered with BILP Foundation and other key stakeholders like the Lions Club of Busia that have come together to give back to this community.
The project manager at C-Care Foundation, Prudence Asobola, has called for the need to address the disease burden in Busia district.
Because we did discover that majority of people in this area do not know the basics of their health, like knowing their hypertensive conditions. We've been checking for random blood sugars. We've been also carrying out HIV testing and counseling, hepatitis B screening. We've offered free medical checkups.
Prudence Asobola noted that C-Care Foundation has been providing quality health care, treatment and disease prevention services to vulnerable communities across Uganda for over 28 years. She explained that Busia was selected due to the district's high demand for healthcare services.
Being able to support people to take charge of their health, giving them nutrition talks. There have been quite a number of children who have been malnourished, and we've been able to support the mothers and done necessary referrals for them to receive care in that direction.
The founder and CEO of BILP Initiative Uganda, James Magero Wanyama, explained that he mobilized local health workers to volunteer their services as part of their corporate social responsibility. Wanyama committed to organizing more medical camps in neighboring districts such as Namayingo and Bujiri, depending on available resources. Wanyama also highlighted the far-reaching impact of BILP Initiative Uganda, which has benefited children both directly and indirectly through its programs in education, health, livelihoods, environmental conservation and youth development.
We've been able to support the mothers and done necessary referrals for them to receive care in that direction. We've also been able to curb a loss.
Area residents expressed appreciation for the conducive environment that allowed the medical camp to run smoothly and successfully.
I give an appreciation for curing us of this place in the sub-county.
The Papal Nuncio Emeritus Augustine Kasuja has emphasized the role of the Holy Spirit in unifying and empowering the apostles. Emeritus Augustine Kasuja highlighted at a confirmation of students of Nalia schools in Bwegerere. Kasuja pointed to the scripture affirming that people from diverse nations were witnesses to the descent of the Holy Spirit.
Papal Nuncio Emeritus Augustine Kasuja has advised confirmants to focus on the spiritual importance of confirmation.
It is a very important moment to advance and receive the body and the blood of Christ with faith and devotion. You remember in chapter 6 of the Gospel according to St. John, when Jesus is ending that Eucharistic discourse, he says, I know those who do not believe.
Papal Nuncio Emeritus Augustine emphasized the responsibility of Christians, especially those who have received the sacrament of confirmation, to be witnesses of Christ. He urged confirmants to stand firm in their faith, even when faced with trials, challenges, and temptations.
Those who have already received the Christian initiation in baptism and also received the Holy Eucharist, when they also receive the sacrament of confirmation, they are more energized, not to fear to be witnesses of Christ.
He cautioned against abusing charismatic gifts such as preaching, prophesying, or performing miracles. The head teacher of Nadia Secondary School, Weyogerere campus, Sanji Robina Sebyai, described the confirmation as a blessing for the students, staff, and the school community.
Yeah, we came up with the initiative because, first of all, to excel in academics, a child must be spiritually nourished. So we always have retreats and recollections for the children to sit down and reflect on their lives, but we also host such functions for them to have more faith and also to confirm, to be firm in their faith. That is why we hold such big days for them to emulate. And on top of that, most of their time they're at school. Most of the time, around 9 to 10 months, the children are in school. So they can only get this and see these people, these visitors, and attend such functions in school.
She encouraged the confirmed students to be lights in their community. Nadia Secondary School Weyogerere campus hosted over 80 students who were confirmed in the Catholic faith. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Now, a renowned counselor from Lupkin's Africa Rehabilitation Center, Nambuya Doreen Guloba, has urged students in high institutions of learning to utilize what their career gives them as a determinant for better future careers. This was during a public lecture for Chambogo University students at the Pithemins Africa on youth participation on economic development.
End up unemployed due to wrong choices made for a career that do not match one's personality. This is a dilemma for youth who form a big percentage of the population who chose a course not basing on their personality types. Students at Chambogo University in Kampala were overwhelmed by presentations during a public lecture organized by Pithemins Africa on unlocking one's full purpose. The lecture was on youth participation in economic development.
Time. If you don't utilize what your career is giving you, you're in the wrong place. Stay informed.
Then when we look at the youth at the moment, youths are not more of facilitated.
We got sponsorship from the government. When you get the sponsorship, they decide for you the course you're going to take.
Actually, you need to discover who you are. You need to discover your potential. You need to discover basically who you are for you to fit certain fields in the different jobs of work.
A renowned counselor, Nambuya Doreen Guloba of Hopkins Africa Rehabilitation Center, says networking, relationships, and adding value to oneself would guide young people to discover their personalities.
It comes from the grassroots. It comes from the parenting, the community involvement, and then the government involvement. One of the challenges we are having is parents are influencing our children's decisions at university.
Pithemins Chief Executive Elizi Kamkazi told UBC that youth need to maintain their identity in order to form their career path.
Many youth, many people, they don't have the vision. They finish their study, but at the end of the day, you find them outside doing nothing. We want to help our youth to discover who they are, what they have, their talents. That is why Pithemins is here.
We are looking at the youths now, and there are three things they need to look at. One is treasure, another one is time, and another one is talent. We have to use what is available to make the youths productive. Now, and policymakers should direct their effort towards that.
The guest speaker, Dennis Irambona, said there should be a policy approach when addressing career choice among youth.
In economic development, people play roles at different stages of development. For Uganda, the youth represented the biggest percentage of the population. So any policy that is being made in this country should focus on what the youth should do in upcoming years, in what the youth should be in upcoming years.
Most times, youth fail to get jobs after school, which would be a result of failure to know their personality types. Aliona Francisco, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return with more stories after these messages.
Banange mwebale okulaga boyanga Uganda ezanya konge Namboli twabalaga lwaki Namboli bakayita katiro mwayiwa w'omubiri nga bulijjo kati nga 11 Oktoba Uganda Crane ezajja kubanga eyambalagana ne South Sudan wali Namboli sawa 10 ez'olweggulo ng'ekyoyina okukola leeta fire tuwagire ekitabangawo okugula tiketi nyiga star M65 star 2 hashi oba genda mu Momo app onyiga wali buy ticket anti awo etiketi egula emitwalo 2 gyokka bw'osasula kashi eba y'ebiri kitundu ng'ate Namboli ogendera bwerere mu train ecupa za Nairo special 2 ezisooka ziba ku siringi 10,000 bw'ogula ne Momo anti MTN egabudde Uganda Crane is fire MTN fire bikutuusiddwako MTN omuwagizi w'omupiira gwa Uganda namba emu nga tuli wamu tewali kitulema.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial star 229 hash. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial star 229 hash to register. Wendy, Wanawoli.
The Uganda Muslim Supreme Council and the National Chair Lady, Honorable Sophia Kenyanji Safina, invites all Muslim women and men to join us for a momentous inauguration of the Women's Council. The event will take place on the 8th of October 2024 at the Gaddafi National Mosque Gardens starting at 9 a.m. The guest of honor will be Her Excellency Hajat Samia Suluhu, the President of the Republic of Tanzania. And the chief guest will be His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and His Eminence Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubajje, the Mufti of Uganda. This is a chance to be part of something truly special as we mark a new era for Muslim women in Uganda. Other activities will include launching the National Muslim Women's Circle and establishing a national fund to support a one-stop skilling and rehabilitation center.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that there are some cases of Mpox detected in Uganda. The ministry, working with partners and affected district local governments, are doing their best to contain the situation. The signs and symptoms of Mpox are body rash, fever, general body weakness, headache, sore throat, nasal congestion or cough, and swollen lymph nodes. You can prevent yourself from getting infected with Mpox by avoiding close contact with people who have been confirmed to have Mpox or who have signs and symptoms of Mpox. Avoiding touching or sharing personal items like beddings, eating utensils, phones, or other belongings of a person who has the signs and symptoms of Mpox. Avoiding contact, including eating, with all wild animals, alive or dead, especially those known to carry the virus, such as rodents and monkeys, and those that appear sick or have been found dead. Getting vaccinated if you're among those who have been identified to be at high risk of Mpox infection. Mpox is treatable and usually goes away after 2 to 4 weeks. However, it can be severe, causing even death, especially among children, pregnant women, and those with other health conditions. For more information and support, contact your nearest health worker. Call the Ministry of Health's toll-free line on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to YouReport on 8500.
Welcome back from that break. Now into the business scene. The central bank has urged stakeholders in financial technologies to learn how to incorporate artificial intelligence responsibly in their operations, particularly to mitigate cyber-related threats. Dr. Twinemanzi, the Executive Director in charge of national payments at the Bank of Uganda, emphasized at the 6th annual FITSPA FinTech conference in Kampala that the central bank has no plans to regulate AI.
And ongoing shift towards digital economy have exposed the public to some adverse impacts of the fourth industrial revolution.
How comprehensive is your risk register in terms of how well have you thought through all the risks that that decision entails? Introduces both to your balance sheet, to your shareholders, and to your other stakeholders. So the comprehensiveness of your risk register. The second question is, do you have risk mitigation measures or remedial actions?
At the 6th annual FITSPA FinTech conference, themed Collaboration for Growth, sector players emphasized the importance of collaboration to address challenges posed by industry predators.
One particular kind of token that we might be very interested in, which is the central bank digital currency. Now, you're going to say to me, well, we already have instant payments, we already have debit cards, we already have Momo, why would we need central bank digital currency? And the token economy is about the exchange of fungible and non-fungible tokens through those decentralized finance protocols.
The central bank has no intentions to establishing regulations for artificial intelligence, but instead urged banking sector stakeholders to find ways to responsibly incorporate new technologies.
I don't think, in my opinion, AI will replace human beings. We are too flawed and too messed up that AI would want nothing to do with us. It can't be flawless, okay? So there will always be, if a flawed being creates a product, that product can never be flawless.
FITSPA has demonstrated a steady positive trajectory in promoting financial inclusion and digital financial literacy as the country moves toward a digital economy.
We have seen financial inclusion in Uganda growing from 58% in 2018 to now 68% in 2023. A network of partnerships that have driven growth, that have opened doors, and that have created opportunities for many.
The theme for 2024 FITSPA Annual FinTech Conference is Collaboration for Growth, focusing on leveraging on partnerships and collaboration to drive innovation and growth in Uganda's FinTech sector. Abdul Nasir Lubwama for UBC.
The Minister of State for Teso Affairs, Dr. Kenneth Ongalo Obote, has visited the Teso Fruit Factory to assess its performance following its recent privatization. This visit aligns with President Museveni's ongoing efforts to ensure that the new management is addressing the issues that previously led to the factory's financial losses. We have more details in this report.
Government established the Teso Fruit Factory in eastern Uganda to encourage farmers to transition from cotton growing to citrus farming after cotton lost its value.
When the world market for cotton began to disappear and there was no market for cotton, by 1984, Teso Cooperative Union was failing to offload the cotton that they had.
Despite the initiative, farmers were disappointed when the factory failed to absorb their produce, resulting into financial losses.
Farmers were abandoning citrus farming. They were cutting down orange trees. one time traveled on over a test from Katapi all the way to Palisa, and I found the orange trees that were being left to fallow.
In response, President Yoweri Museveni directed the privatization of the factory to create a more profitable and sustainable option for farmers.
The prospect came of putting this factory in better hands. What we were looking at was better hands in terms of how this factory was going to have the ordinary farmers benefit. How would we use this factory to stop the trend which is now becoming rampant of people abandoning the citrus farm?
After nearly 4 months of privatization, Dr. Kenneth Ongalo Obote visited the facility to assess its current state.
The president wants to know how is the factory performing, what is happening now that it's in the hands of new management. We were all very excited. We unfortunately have realized that we know very little about what is going on here.
During the visit, it was revealed that the factory continues to struggle with market readiness for its products, further exacerbated by competition from local businesses.
So one of the ways we are trying to address that is through things like international certifications, resource mobilization to do mass adverts to make sure that we create market.
Dr. Ongalo Obote pledged to escalate these concerns to high authorities for further action. Oko Joseph, UBC.
As the world commemorates World Tourism Week, Ugandans are encouraged to appreciate their traditions and culture. The celebrations feature the 6th edition of the Art and Culture exhibition organized by the Culture Foundation of Uganda at the National Theatre in Kampala.
Highlights Uganda's rich and diverse cultural heritage. From captivating art to traditional crafts, this exhibition showcases the incredible creativity that defines our nation. The stunning artwork reflects the beauty of our landscapes and the richness of our traditions. Each piece tells a unique story, inviting us to explore the heart of Uganda.
And I was pleased that I was able to get a reflection of what we are and what we ought to be and what we will be.
The 6th edition of the Art and Culture exhibition organized by the Culture Foundation of Uganda also highlights contemporary artists who blend traditional influences with modern techniques.
Because a lot of time we've put our focus on game drives and wildlife tourism, but there is a lot that we have as a country. As a country, we have about 65 ethnic groups with different cultures, different dressing, different way of food, different way of dressing. So we need to position ourselves so that we earn from cultural tourism.
This fusion creates a dynamic dialogue between the past and the present, showcasing Uganda's evolving identity.
At the moment, what we are trying to do is to build our products, to have women that are making crafts, because we already know that crafts are not just crafts, they have a whole story.
Uganda is highly ranked in East Africa for the promotion of tourism, emphasizing its cultural diversity and artistic expression. Joseph Muyingo compiled this report for UBC News.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has held its 15th National Competitiveness Forum. The forum is a platform through which the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development consults with the private sector on investment priorities for building a competitive economy.
Competitiveness Forum was on the theme, the role of the public and private sector in realizing the knowledge economy agenda in Uganda. In his statement, the Finance Minister, Masika Kazimoto, reaffirmed government's commitment to creating an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive, especially in industries that align with the tenfold strategy.
The private sector remains the engine that will drive Uganda's transition to a knowledge-based economy. Distinguished friends, today's forum is not just about discussing policy. It is about shaping the future of our country.
He also highlighted some of the 2024-2025 financial year investment focus in relation to science, technology and innovation, noting that government has committed about 257 billion shillings to bolster STI with substantial allocations towards key projects.
We will upgrade the national backbone infrastructure to enhance connectivity across the Greater Kampala metropolitan area. These investments in STI and the digital transformation are fully aligned with our broader goals under the 10-fold growth and NDP4 priorities to drive inclusive growth and wealth creation.
In her keynote speech, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Monica Msenero, emphasized the importance of data collection and investing significant resources on research and development to foster the knowledge-based economy.
The data may be lacking, or it may be incomplete or disorganized. It cannot give us what we need. Developed nations are meticulous on data. They collect their data and they collect our data. And for us all the time they tell you, oh, data is the gold. And we pass it and we leave it there. But we are actually missing the beginning of knowledge.
As Uganda strives to achieve a $500 billion economy by 2040, technology-led productivity is a necessary condition, and this will require strategic investment and a cultural shift.
Except for a few changes that have been made in, I think, about 2 years ago, we've really based our curriculum on very old science, for lack of a better phrase. So if we are to catch up with, for instance, the current and next revolution of AI going to the space, we need to have a shift from that old science to more innovative and new science, again, for lack of a better phrase.
The appreciation for starting something from zero should be there first in the culture. Then the rest of these things will follow, like the different policies, the different financial support agreements, issues of mergers, issues of collaborations.
The insights at this forum will shape the STI strategy and guide the implementation of the knowledge economy component of Uganda's 10-fold growth strategy and the National Development Plan 4. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Bannange mwebale okulaga boyanga Uganda ezenya konge namboli twabalaga lwaki namboli bakayita kattiro mwayiwa omubiri nga bulijjo kati nga 11 Oktoba Uganda Cranes ejja kubanga eyambalaga ne South Sudan wali namboli sawa 10 ez'olweggulo ng'ekyoyina okukola leeta fire tuwagire ekitabangawo okugula tikiti nyiga star M65 *2 oba genda mu Momo app onyiga wali buy ticket anti awo etikiti egula emitwalo 2 gyokka bw'osasula kashi eba y'ebiri kitundu ng'ate namboli ogendera bwerere mu train ecupa za Nairo special bili ezisooka ziba ku siringi 10,000 bw'ogula ne Momo anti MTN egabudde Uganda Cranes fire MTN fire bikutuusiddwako MTN omuwagizi w'omupiira gwa Uganda namba emu nga tuli wamu tewali kitulema.
President Yoweri Museveni is set to launch the innovative 4-acre model campaign in Bunyoro sub-region, starting with the Greater Chibale districts. This landmark event will take place at the Chikwaya Playground in Kakumiro district on November 15, 2024, starting at 10 a.m. All residents, civil servants and leaders of Greater Chibale districts in Bunyoro and neighboring areas are invited to attend the launch in large numbers. The 4-acre model initiative led by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni aims to integrate ordinary people into the money economy. During his visit, President Museveni will tour selected 4-acre model farms in the area. This launch will showcase the initiative's impact on local communities, highlighting tangible benefits and success stories of the strategy for households. Don't miss out on this extraordinary event that promises to reshape the future of food security and socio-economic well-being for the people of Greater Chibale districts in Bunyoro sub-region and neighboring areas. Join area leaders for this event aimed at lifting ordinary people out of poverty using their available small land. The mega event will be held at Chikwaya Playground in Kakumiro district, Greater Chibale on November 15, 2024 at 10 a.m.
The East Africa UK Tourism and Culture Expo 2024 is here, happening on 8th and 9th of November 2024 under the theme Enhancing Tourism as Engine for Social and Economic Transformation on the sidelines of WTM London at the Rembrandt Hotel, 11th Thalo, PI South Kensington, London, SW7 2RS, United Kingdom. The guest of honor will be the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. For tickets, exhibitors will pay £1,000 and participants will pay £300. For more information, call +256 787 096 100 or +254 795 806 969. Visit www.eauktourismexpo.com to register.
Welcome back, and now into sports. Uganda under-20 men's national football team had their last training session at the Njeru Technical Grounds in preparation for the upcoming Sekafa Zonal qualifiers from the 6th of this month in Tanzania. The Hippos fly out of the country to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania this Friday before the games early next week. Uganda, who won the trophy in 2022 in Khartoum, is in Group B, along South Sudan, Burundi and Ethiopia. The other group has hosts Tanzania, Kenya, Sudan, Rwanda and Djibouti. The two teams in each group will automatically qualify for the semi-finals, and the semi-finalists will qualify to represent Sekafa at the AFCON Under-20 to take place next year.
To reach there, that is the only solution. And that's why we are here. That's why we are fighting to see that we reach there, because it's not going to be our first time. So we have to fight to see that we do it again. We have trained only one day. I cannot tell you this or that, but I think the way how the boys are responding, the competition is going to be tight because everybody is focused.
With that, UBC News Tonight has come to an end. Thank you so much for your company. Now, on behalf of the team working tirelessly behind the scenes, we want to wish you a good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In a world where every day is a battle for survival, one man endures grueling hardships just to make a living.
Yes, sir.
In Olwatuka, witness a heart-pounding journey of love. Pain acrimony and justification that the line between right and wrong has never been so thin.
Maybe I need to remind him who I am.
So, you killed my wife.
Olwatuka film premiere will be on the 3rd of December 2024 at Uganda National Theatre, sponsored by
Independence Day is observed as a national holiday in a country. Uganda became an independent sovereign state on 9th October 1962.
Uganda is born again, free and independent.
This event holds an important position in the history of Uganda as it marks the country's freedom to self-rule from its colonial masters. Uganda and the people have made significant strides in 62 years, like improvement in economic growth, education, agriculture, peace, prosperity and political stability. This year's 62nd celebrations will be held under the theme Independence Day, a recommitment to secure and fortify our destiny. Join us on Wednesday 9th October 2024 at Busiko Teachers Demonstration Primary School grounds, Masafu Town Council, Busia District, as we relay the celebrations live on UBC TV. Inspiring Uganda.
The first window for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualification trail, which had 2 games played, has ended. The Uganda Cranes drew 2 all away to South Africa in the first game before a 2-0 home victory over Congo-Brazzaville. During the games played, Uganda scored 4 and conceded just 2, which places the Cranes top of Group K with 4 points, albeit just on a better goal difference of +2. South Africa, which also won a game and drew the other for 4 points, scored 5 goals and conceded 4, which gives it a +1 goal difference and thus second position. Congo-Brazzaville is third with 3 points, having beaten South Sudan, which also lost to South Africa, and lies bottom of the group with no point. The next round of games will be on the 7th October with Uganda at home against South Sudan before the 2 meet again on the 15th of the same month. But as it stands, Uganda and South Africa, by virtue of occupying the top 2 positions, earn a place in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations due in Morocco next year, because the top 2 nations in each of the 12 groups are guaranteed of that.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Peoples of Eastern Uganda segment. How have they negotiated the colonial border that divided the Luya nation into 2 countries?
The Basamia, Babukusu, the Bagwe, the Bamasava, all belonging to the Baluya of Kenya.
We didn't know there was a border to go and visit our father's only sister and our mother's only sister in Bungoma.
Actually, if you talk of the integration of the East African community, for us, we're already integrated.
One community.
Premiering in Mbale City at Mount Elgon Hotel on Saturday, 12th of October.
To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
This weekend on UBC.
Shoni's ability to entertain was evident ever since he was this as a child. Man, this boy has always grown up with so much energy, and the vibe is everything.
When I was 4 years old, the type of child that I was very
I would be called the misbehaving child. You get what I'm saying? Because I had too much energy in me, and there's nothing that no one can tell me or do about it.
Welcome to the best of the good life. Today, the person I'm going to sit with on this chair is a very special person. He has conquered the broadcasting and programming industry, radio industry of this country in the shortest time possible.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27